Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Break Live with Senabella. I'm here as your guest, and I'm welcoming you into the room. Let's get going. We've got a great show for you today. I cannot wait to share with you what we've got going on. What we've got going on, I will answer as soon as we take our break, and we'll get back right to you as we open the show up this morning. How you feeling? I am doing great. I'm pivoting here because I have a couple of things happening. I had to get on my phone, so I'm not able to access things as quickly as I'd like to. But guess what? I'm going to handle it, and it's going to be great anyway. We've got John Islam in the studio today with us today, and he is going to be sharing with me and you his journey as we talk about home care provisions and what it takes for someone to pivot daily, speaking of pivoting, to just actualize their work. Now, I know we usually start off with a song, and as soon as I get this studio up and running in the way that it should, that we're going to open up, you're going to see a myriad of things that I want to share with you, and we're going to be great. Until then, I'm going to keep talking until I get something going, and I am wanting to say in a formal way that there are many things going on in Chicago today. I spoke with Frank Goss, and he has his, um, what did he call it? The Smooth Jazz Festival over in Bronzeville. Yeah. And he is getting ready for everybody. I think that's going to be coming up tomorrow. I'm going to show you some highlights from it. And as I said, I'm on my phone and I'm waiting for things to load up. And when it does, we're going to open up with that beautiful song. So tell me how you feeling, what you're doing, and what are you looking forward to today? What are some of the things that you look forward to when you come into this show? And I think that I'm ready now to give you our opening, and we're going to get right into it, and we're going to have a great day. Yes. So here we go.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up with the sunlight in my eyes and your arms surrounding me. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. That's how I wanna be. I wanna wake up with a song in my heart. I wanna wake up with a song in my heart and the joy in my eyes. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up, you and me are the perfect match that could ever be. Wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful with you.
Hey, so how are you this morning as we get ready to have our conversation talking about self care and the care of others? Now, you may be wondering why certain things are going on, but I'm telling you right now, I've got a lot going on. I am trying to uh, make things happen. I know everybody's trying to figure out what's going on, and I cannot get things to turn around. I'm soliciting some help. So, in the meantime, I'm going to keep talking and I'm going to put what I can on screen. Everybody, including my guests, is waiting to come into the studio as we try to handle things. So, I just want to assure you that I am here working it out. If you stuck with me, I appreciate that. And we're going to try to turn this thing around. Now, you're posting comments, and I appreciate it, and I can show it. So, good morning, and good morning, and good morning to you. So, let me see what I can do to keep moving things through. Why don't you share with me what you're doing this today and how you're doing? And I can at least place that into the comments. My guest is here, John Izzy. And let's see if we can get him on stage. Somebody got to get in here, right? This is strange. It must be me, right? Because if it weren't me, then I would be on stage. But for whatever it's worth, like I said, I'm going to keep spiraling through and getting into it because I think it's important for us to have this conversation as we talk about healthcare amongst our family members and the people who take care of them. Those provisions are important. And if you can hear me, then you know that I'm here and present. And I know that John is here and he's in present and he's on stage. At least they say he's on stage. And I can't see him for whatever that's worth. So I'm going to come in on another platform, another computer, and we're going to keep going until we get it going and up and doing what we have to do. I appreciate all of you all's patience. I hope you're having a great day as I am. And despite the problems, I know how to pivot through and to feel good about what I'm doing because I know that these things are just a small diversion from messaging, you know? So here we go. Let's keep going. My other computer is coming up and it looks like we're going to get back in and have a very good live show. So if you're here for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or a whole hour, I want you to know that you can catch this show. I will have an edited version up on YouTube. I will have it at Facebook. I'll have it at Instagram and all of the sites in which I broadcast, and you'll get a chance to continue to hear about what we're doing here. In the meantime, I don't want you to worry about a thing. And let me see, what can I do at this moment to put some more direction in this? John is saying he's having difficulties too. So it just could be that it's the studio that we're in at this moment. It's that there are internet problems. So let's go there and try it again. We're going to start all over. That's what I love about doing this here broadcast on the internet. It really will test you and see how savvy you are, how well you can get through things. So those of you who are sticking in with me, you must know, and you must love what it is that we do here at StreamYard on the female solution as we pivot through to try to make sure everything is up and running. As you can see, I am cycling through, and you get a chance to see how I do what I do as we come into this here next half hour, or let's say next 15 minutes of the show. Oh, wow. Yeah, 15 minutes. How about that? One of the things that made me want to have this particular subject today is that it was important to talk about healthcare. I've had several friends who passed over the last few years, very, very close people to me. And as a result of that, I could not deal with all of the long-term care that so many people needed and were in nursing homes. And I thought to myself, how can we do better as people in caring for those who are in situations where they have to leave their parents, their loved ones in nursing homes and so forth. And John's job is just that. He's the person who is a private care attendant. He takes care of people's families, loved ones, their mothers, their grandmothers, their children, whomever they may be that he assigns himself to assure that there is proper health care in your home, that your family member is safe, that your family member is seen to on a 24-hour basis. And I have to just say that that is such a commendable task. I hear about healthcare workers when people become seniors, they have someone come in and they clean and cook and shop for them and they go home. But in this situation, John's job is to stay there all the time and for long periods of time. And I've wondered how it is that someone can do a job like that, and what does that look like for them? Like, what's their work situation looking like? How do they manage to do what they do, right? How do they do that? And in what kind of time does it take for them to regroup and to get back into their own lives? It's just a task, period. And so, as you can see, the cycling is going through. We're going to see if we can get anything. It says device is not connected, as you can see on my desktop. So I am still having that issue. I don't know if it's internet or studio, but we're going to keep going through, and I'm going to keep talking and hopefully continue to engage you in this here today's topic on healthcare. And so hopefully John will get in, and he says he's having some technical difficulties as well. I'm going to see if he's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. He's at least able to get in. I'm going to go back. I hope you can hear me. I am finally here in the room, and prayerfully we have the proper connection. If you can hear me, can you post a comment and say, I can hear you, Senabella? I see that there have been people in the room. I see you, JJ. Are you still here? Let me see. I'm going to say good morning to those that have posted. Yeah. Okay, so I think somebody's feeling that piece. So John, you're having some technical difficulties. He's saying good morning. He's somewhere here, and he's saying good morning, and he's having some technical difficulties. I'm going to resend him what he needs to get into the room. Can you hear me? I need somebody to post a comment saying that you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Okay. I'm going to resend you that link, John, and hopefully you can get in. For those of you who missed this here broadcast, I'm going to redo it and repost it today. We're going to start all over with a new recording. So if you missed it, I apologize. There are things that continue to happen. Oftentimes we have no control over, no matter what our effort is, because it isn't human problems. It's the problem in the connection with the internet, with the whatever the platform is or what have you. But I'm here, you're here, we're here together. What can I say? And I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to go over and I'm going to go back and play my open while I see if I can tackle just one or two more of these things. I hope you don't mind. If you love the song, if you love the open, then stay with me and let's watch it again and let's get going.
I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up with the sunlight in my eyes and your arms surrounding me. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. That's how I wanna be. I wanna wake up with a song in my heart. I wanna wake up with a song in my heart and the joy in my eyes. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up, you and me are the perfect match that could ever be. Wake up feeling beautiful. I wanna wake up feeling beautiful with you.
All right, we're back. How's everybody doing? I think I'm live and that you can hear me. It seems that everything is up and running on this end. And we're still having just a few problems loading in our guest today, John Islam. And he's here to talk to us, as I said earlier, about the healthcare of our families. How many of you are engaged in healthcare provision? How many of you are engaged in the provision as it relates to supplying it for your family members? What are the choices that are you making? Who are some of those people that you have to coordinate to work with your family? It's an issue that we're all facing today. Healthcare is the number one thing on the plate as we talk about our lives, living and maintaining our sound mental health status, worrying about our families, how they're surviving inside of hospitals, nursing homes, and in-home care. And because of that, it's essential for us to have good people who provide the provisions or who make provisions for us as people who sit with our family members and so forth. Now, I'm resending the link to John and he's going to talk, but I want to also talk about a few things that we want to discuss with him. Like, when do you get a break and how long do you stay in service when you're working with a family? Do you attend only healthcare appointments or do you socialize with patients or in personal outings? Do you ever encounter attachment issues and how do you deal with that? Are there mental health counseling and other requirements for you to adjust in between your patients? And you know what? This morning, we are going to explore that as soon as we get John back into the room. And we're going to make sure that those things happen. So in the meantime, I'm going to bring Dr. Latif on while I go and attend to making sure that I can provide John with the new link. Dr. Latif, welcome to Coffee Break Live with Senabella. Let's fill it in a little bit. Let's see what's happening. Are you in?
Yeah, well, let's see.
I see me. Here we are. So we know it's not us.
Yeah. Apparently, internet glitch.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But that happens.
Mhm.
And but it's so good that you record that beautiful song, 'cause we can always hear that over and over again.
Yeah, I play that 1,000 times. Actually, when it's on play, I play it myself. I wrote that song, what, about a year or two ago now, and sang it here in the mornings for the coffee break. And people were loving it. And I said, okay, let me do a little bit better. It took me a minute to feel it, to figure it out, but it happened. Oh, there we are. We finally got one other person. Okay. Well, you know what, Naima, please, Dr. Lateef, give me a minute. I'm gonna go off screen and I'm gonna try to. Well, actually, let me see if I can do it while we're here. Okay. And I'm gonna leave you to talk. I'm gonna move myself off the screen. Everybody, stay here with Dr. Lateef.
Well, so you're talking about things like in-home healthcare and
So why don't we talk about that from the perspective, your personal
I've had
perspective?
that experience with caring for elderly parents, and all of us, if you live long enough, you are going to experience that kind of decision that your family's going to have to make. How are you going to care for someone who is ailing, is transitioning? And it can be a very painful process. It's always good to know people in advance so that you have a game plan. I have seen families fall apart over not being able to agree. I had a friend who had a horrific experience. Hopefully, this does not ever happen to you. But because they couldn't agree, they had a loved one who had gotten to a point where she was almost clinically dead, but still, because because the hospital had hooked the grandmother on life support, so she was being mechanically kept alive through the machines, but she was, I believe, clinically brain dead. But because once you get connected to life support, you have to stay on life support until the family authorizes you to be taken off of life support. And once the family makes that decision, then, as they say, it's in God's hands. Either your body continues to function and pump the blood through your heart and the air through your oxygen. Either it happens on its own, or if it doesn't, then you transition. Well, what happened was her family members could not agree. Should we take grandma off life support? Should we keep grandma on life support? In case of the actual children, should we keep mom on life support? Should we keep mom breathing through the machines, or should we take mom off? So with all the family members not being able to agree, the body of their loved one was still functioning, but that person was really gone. And because they could not agree, they saw that her body slowly deteriorated and she was literally rotting to death while she was being kept alive. And that is a horrific experience for any family. And that taught me, and that's one of the reasons why my sisters and I, with each of our parents, we discuss these things of what are we going to do when this happens? What are we going to do when that happens? What are we all going to collectively agree to do? We had that conversation ahead of time so that it wasn't one of those situations where we're bickering, we can't do anything, the hospital can't take her off until we give our official consent. And you don't know what the person's state is while they're suffering through being kept alive artificially. So these are the kinds of decisions families have to talk about in advance. And when you don't have those conversations because you got some kind of superstition, well, if you talk about dying, somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to die anyway. Everybody's going to die anyway, whether you talk about it or not. So the thing to do is to talk about what kind of health care you want during the difficult times. What kind of decision do you want to make? I mean, my husband, he made a decision, do not resuscitate. He said, once I'm gone, let me go. Do not keep bringing me back. So in his last weeks, he had the sign above his bed, do not resuscitate. So paramedics, whoever, medical staff, might be called in or whatever, they would know this was his wish.
Mm.
And so you have to talk to the person and let you know what they want. Follow their wishes. And sometimes people will override the person's wishes because of how they're feeling. Well, I don't want grandma to go. I don't want grandpa to go. I don't want daddy to go. I don't want mama to leave us. Well, it's not about you. It's about them. It's what they want for their own life, their own comfort, their own peaceful transition out of this world. Nobody wants to suffer their way out of here. And so if they've made a choice on how they're to be handled, honor that choice. And it's good if you're still around and sane mind, it's good to put those things in writing. That way, if you ever get to a point where you can't articulate it, in a coma or, speech impediment or whatever could happen, stroke, whatever could happen during an illness where you're not able to articulate what you want, put it in writing while you can, so that your family members know what kind of care you want and they know what your wishes are and they can follow those wishes.
Well, I think that's extremely important. They always talk about planning for the absence of yourself. They talk about that. And you know what? We probably do wait too late to think about it. What, like, when is it a good time to start talking about planning what may take place? Because people die early today. A lot. My dear friends who passed on they were still very young and viral.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean young in the sense of their activity, their life, everything they were doing, family, traveling, everything. And all of a sudden a situation took place and they had to go into home care, or they went into care, into nursing. And as Kalila Michelle has said so clearly, she says, I am presently caregiving my 91 and 92-year-old parents, mom, dementia, dad, cancer, should definitely have a plan. We did not, navigating by grace. And I know that's true because I personally went to the hospital for 5 siblings, my mother as well, all the time during the course of it. And as large a family as I have, there is no plan that actually works. There's always going to be 1 or 2 people who are going to have to sit down and construct a plan that they can work to, either work together in the same city, fly in and out, and do whatever. Nursing homes are overloaded with so many patients. There's nowhere your loved one is going to get the ideal care. And that's why caregivers who are at home, who are long-term, like John, who I hope will be able to get in here and talk about his experience, 15 years of working with families. Can you imagine what that's like to give your life over to something?
Very stressful.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. He's got to have a way to de-stress at the end of the day, because when you're involved with family, you're absorbing all the energy that family is putting out, all the anxiety they feel. And it's not an easy thing to go through. And as a profession, day to day, absorbing that. So, and I see he's popped in now, so hopefully he can share his experience with that.
Yeah. He finally made it here. Hey, John. So I want to give you some opportunity. Thank you for coming in. You didn't put John Izzy. You put John Izzy, not John Islam.
Good morning, doctor. How are you this morning?
So the light is taking some
excellent.
All kinds of things are going on. Dr. Latif, meet me, John Islam.
Re-enter the room.
Can you hear us?
But good morning.
Yes.
Can you hear us, John?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Great.
I can hear you and see you fine, perfectly.
Yeah, you may want to raise the volume on your computer a bit, just to make sure that we hear your illustrious voice.
Better?
A little better, yeah.
And take some of the head out the top so that we can see more of you in the body.
There you go. Yeah.
John, tell us, how long have you been in this? No, not how long. We kind of talked about that already. Almost 15 years experience of doing healthcare. What are some of the most crucial aspects of your job that you realized early on that you'd have to commit to in order to do it? And Dr. Latif, I'm going to lend this here screen to John as he answers this question.
Well, if I can, to answer that just right out the gate, presence, availability. Those are the 2 most important aspects of this job. Definitely those 2 things are the most important. availability, and of course presence. And then also the way I prepare and how I do my job is just also just personality. It has to be personality as well. It also has to be a match. This job is not for the faint of heart. It requires a lot of attention to detail. It requires a lot of self-sacrifice. A lot of time. So yeah.
Well, are you presently in home with a client now that you have? I've heard you refer to those people who are there as clients.
I can't hear you right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, so we're still
No,
having
for some reason I
somewhat.
can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't
Okay.
hear you.
Well, then I'm gonna let you keep talking until we can manage that part too. I have no idea what's going on today. You can't hear us.
Yeah,
Um,
difficulties today.
right, right. So keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Yeah.
How about this? I'm gonna post a comment and you
But
can
you can hear
respond.
me still.
Yes.
Okay.
And
But I
hopefully
can't hear
everyone else
you.
can hear you too. But yeah, so Kalila Michelle says she's navigating by grace. What do you get to say to that?
Well, if I can speak to that, yes, having a plan is definitely now. I've been very blessed to work with a lot of families where, the healthcare and all those needs have been taken care of. Retirement, things of that nature have been set up for the families that I've been involved in. I've yet to work a case where, that has not been in place. But every case that I've been involved in, yes, I think I can hear now. But every parent, I mean, I'm sorry, not every parent, every family already has those things in place. When they contact a caregiver, it's because again they already know the needs and that are in place there for their loved one at the home, and they just need to find someone that matches up with the skills and of course the personality. It has to be a fit. It has to be the right fit. You just can't go and grab a person that's available. Everybody that's a caregiver um, does not approach the job the same way, and also to due to the level of care. Also, too, because you may not have to do what I do, which is a long-term live-in home care. You may only be just needed for a few hours of the day while the family's aware, because the family's so more hands-on to keep costs low, for
Mhm.
the family. That's also another thing as well, budgeting, because health, I mean, caregiving can be very expensive, especially when in the capacity in which I'm in. So, the more family involvement, the better. And also, too, when it comes to, provision that are set up when we come on to these jobs, so like I said, sometimes it can be a sacrifice of time away from family and from your own personal life. And right now, for myself, this is a complete live-in. My patient is just barely getting back on her feet, walking because she hasn't been walking for about a year. So she's still in the process of making a full recovery as she's still having current surgeries to get back to full health. So, as I said before, having all those things in play with family, making sure family presence, not only just the health, the technical aspect of it, which is again going to be healthcare, insurance, all those things.
Wow, that's pretty hefty. So, can you hear me? Can I be
Okay,
heard? You
yeah,
can't
I
hear
can't hear you again for some reason.
Okay, okay. Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna. I hate
I'm
that we
trying
have.
my very best to read lips.
Yeah. So you didn't get that part. That wasn't part of the job requirement.
Mm,
Look, just continue to talk. Just keep talking.
keep okay. Well, well, and also too, I really enjoy what I do. I mean, it does come at a tremendous sacrifice. It does come at a tremendous sacrifice for my personal life, but I get joy and I get so much satisfaction for not only just being able to be a help to a family, but to see the end result, which is of course a patient making that recovery. I've been very fortunate to be on cases where I've been able to help see people make a 180 turnaround and recovery. So that also brings me a lot of joy. in what I do, which is why I'm able to give as much as I'm able, as I'm able to give as much as I do for the job, and make those self-sacrificing, plays to, for the betterment of the family and also for my patient that I'm taking care of.
Still not able to hear you. You can't hear us. I'm going to take him off and see if we can get him to come back in and start all over. If you have your phone, if we'll check with you, I'll text you and see if you have your phone, and maybe you could turn something down. Like you're in here,
Okay.
your turn your audio off.
Mine is off.
Okay.
Uh,
So look, everybody, I do apologize greatly for what's going on here. Obviously, some things I can't do anything about. Um, this is a they want to know, when do you get a
when
break?
do I get a break? That's the $1 million question a lot of people always ask when it comes to this job. As I said before, I do get breaks. I do get breaks. Unfortunately, it's not like a long period of time in this particular situation, but yeah, I do get breaks. In cases in the past, there were times where there were provisions where I would have multiple days off. And like I said, it all really depends on the needs of the patient. You know, when you work in a live-in situation like I do, you form bonds with people, and it goes far beyond just camaraderie. You become an actual family member, of the family. So, trying to keep personal and professional, separate can be a little difficult sometimes in this role. You always want to remain professional, but there's so much of yourself personally that you're giving. So it's hard to kind of, keep that balance there, because you're caring for someone like you're caring for a loved one. Even when even if there's no relation, you're still giving. I'm still pouring in like I'm pouring into a loved one.
Wow, that's pretty
So
tremendous.
I'm sorry. So that makes it so for me, that kind of makes it difficult to take those breaks. Because again, I'm pouring in so much.
Hmm. Wow. Um, so let's get another question. Um,
You guys
have
gonna have to
you
keep those questions coming because I cannot hear. I'm so sorry, you guys.
have you had a client that
Thank
died
you.
while you were there?
Yes, yes. I have. I've had, in fact, when I first started with caregiving years ago, my first patient whom I was with, yes, she made a miraculous. She started coming around. She hadn't talked in a very long time, and when I came in, so she started making progress, and then all of a sudden something happened, and then she, suddenly turned for the worse. However, but yes, I've been on many cases where I've been with patients, unfortunately, to the very end. Yes.
Wow.
And recently, well, the most recent was maybe a few years ago. No one since then. Unfortunately for me, right now, I got to say that everyone has made full recoveries, and hopefully, the case that I'm on as well, she's looking like she's also going to make a full recovery as well. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take a little bit more time, because this case that I'm on is a little bit more unique and a little bit more different from cases from the past.
Mm.
Can you
Well,
still
I
ask
don't know if you can
questions?
hear me or not yet, but check this out. I'm speaking to you via see
All
folks, we can
right.
figure this out.
So I can answer that a little bit more specifically. That question that just came in. Thank you for that question. So recently, right now, my current patient, she just had a surgery just the beginning of this month. So I had time off. I had a lot of time off because she was still in the hospital, and then she was in a skilled nursing facility just for a little period of time. Um, however, that time got cut short because, as I said before, the relationship that you form with your patients, they also, like I said, that you become family with them. So if there's a missing, they start missing you, and They want your care. You know, they don't care so much for the care that's provided by the professionals in the skilled nursing facilities. They want you. So a lot of times that ends up happening. So yes, yes, yes. She's recovering currently right now. However, as I said before, yes, unfortunately that time got cut very short. Second question here. The only disagreement that you're going to always find in this particular job is always going to be financial. Depending upon depending on the health conditions of the loved one, if they're close to the end, those are the type of conversations, unfortunately, that I've had to, I've been in those circles, unfortunately, and I've been in circles again where everything, when the patient does pass, when he's passed and she's passed, it there's been no, there's been no discussion or anything like that amongst them. Everything has been, everything is fine. But no, a lot of times though, it is going to be financial. It will be financial. Those are going to be the disagreements, especially when it comes to us getting paid, because they, depending upon if the family is involved with the contract agreement that the caregiver and the patient has, then of course they're going to want to know, where the money is, how the money is being spent, how much money I'm being paid, things of that nature. So, protecting financial assets, those are some of the loved ones' main, their main gripes.
Mm.
All right. Let's see here. Though retired, work a part-time job to get away. Oh, yes, yes. I quite frankly, I also do that as well. I'll use another. If I need a little bit more time off, I have other caregivers. I have people that are caregivers that I can call on and come and relieve me for when I need a little bit of a longer break.
Mm.
That's a very good question. As of right now, mentally, I've been. This is the best I've been doing mentally. I've ever, but mentally it can take a toll on you because you get cabin fever. You get cabin fever. You want to go home. You want to get back to your real life, especially if you have relationships outside of work. Those things are definitely going to call you and pull you and want to take your attention outside. However, I'm very fortunate where, my life is pretty much set up so that I can do this. Um, you know, so the sacrifices that I'm making them willingly. They're not, there's nothing that's really being asked of me that I'm not already aware of that's going to require me to have to maybe make choices that are going to be difficult, that will strain me, mentally, that will strain me and make me, have those feelings of cabin fever. So yeah, but it can though. It can, and also too, and also too, very important. Depending upon the relationship you have with your patient, with your patient. If it's just a strictly uh, professional relationship and you guys have not broken any barriers personally, if you're the type of person that is not willing to speak about things personally in your own life, that can make it very difficult. Yes, then you just counting the clock. Then you're just counting the days or however long you're there till you're free. And that can really strain you mentally. All right, that's a very, very good question. Very, very good question. Um, yes, there are good days and there are bad days. I mean, depending upon what's going on personally in my life, if there's things that are going on that I need to
Okay, so John, we lost him on camera. Hopefully, he can go out and come back in. He was about to answer the question, how long does it take for him to manage his mental health? And what if he's just not feeling like it some days? Heck, some days I don't feel like doing what I want to do, and I just go walk in my bedroom and I get in the bed and I call it a day. I mean, clearly, that's something that we all who work in different kinds of jobs or establishments we get to do. In fact, when people are working for a corporation or other people, you really learn how to pivot and manage your emotional self because you don't get a shot. You don't get to stop. Now, while you may get off, say, at you got a 9 to 5, or you might be one of those corporate heads like I've been, and Dr. Lateef, I'm sure you experience this all the time. You're 24/7. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes a whole lot to get yourself around those kind of situations. What do you think of any of that?
Well, I think that when you're in a job like that, where you are constantly having to deal with intense emotions, you have to have some kind of regular practice of de-stressing, whether it's go for a walk, whether it's listen to some soft music. You have to have some kind of practice, because I've seen people in these kinds of positions, they go through some mental breakdowns sometimes, because it's too much sometimes. And if you don't have either people you can talk to, or some kind of practice that you can literally de-stress at the end of the day, it'll pile up and pile up. And then you start to get the physical results from being under constant emotional stress. Certain organs start breaking down, and you start getting all these pains and so forth, heart pains and all. I mean, our body is a communications device that tells us when we are emotionally distressed. That's when certain parts of it start to malfunction. So if a person doesn't have some kind of a regular practice where they can go somewhere and relax and let the job go, they're going to find themselves overwhelmed and at some point just broken, and they'll be forced to quit. So,
I mean, but can you imagine that 24/7, it was a week or a month and days, and it's in the case with John, he manages to stay months and months at a time in a year, and that's a strong determination. That is a real caregiving situation. When you consider what it takes for someone to sacrifice themselves, for someone to get on their feet, to begin walking. As he said earlier, he has a client who's now getting on her feet, and he's been with her for months, and the attachments that the bonds that they create, having to do so many things, it's important. And JJ, I'm going to ask that question as soon as he comes back. Do you have special training for the job? And I would imagine, just like a professional healthcare, like a doctor or a nurse or people who are in those situations, you learn on the job. You have to learn on the job. No matter what you're taught in medical school, whatever your practice is, you still have to come into the job.
Yes, there are some essential requirement training that's required for caregiving, especially wound care. That's an essential necessity. First aid, CPR, of course, you have to be CPR certified. That's a given. And I will say this also, I mean, aside from just those two things right there, you're gonna learn everything else on the job, everything else that's required, again, according to the needs that's needed for the patient. I've dealt with everything now. I've dealt with everything now, and I love it, because it's only lended to to sharpening my skill set, adding on to my skill set, and it makes me more capable. And I've tackled jobs where I've come in blind. I didn't know anything and learned everything on the fly. I've had to deal with things that I didn't think that I would be able to deal with, but I come in ready to do the job. So show me what to do, and I'm ready to do it. So I deal with everything.
One thing I want to ask before I step away, because I've seen the difference between how people accept the natural transition in life and how some people don't, based on whatever they believe happens once you leave this body. What do you say to families when you know that a transition is imminent, no matter how diligent the care has been, it's going to happen? How do you prepare families for that? And have you seen a difference in the way families respond based on what they believe about the end of this life and what happens afterwards, or whatever the case may be? How do you prepare them for it? How do they respond to it? And what would you advise about that? What would make it easier if you had to advise a caregiver in preparing families for a loved one's transition?
It keeps dropping me in and out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. And I still can't hear you guys too. I'm so sorry.
And we can hear you.
Hear you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for being a difficult guest today.
Oh, you're not a difficult guest. It's the internet that's difficult. You're fine.
Oh, go ahead, John. Please answer that. Oh, he can't
Yeah.
hear us.
But if I
Wow.
can, but if I may answer that one last question a little bit more, a little bit more in detail about the mental health and how I deal in those times when, because there have been times when I've been dealing with things, personally, and having to again, you know, take myself out of myself so I can get back, stay in professional mode, because again, I know that how I feel is going to affect the care, and also too, I've been very fortunate where my patients care about me as well. So it's not where um, any type of, there have been times when I've had difficulty doing my job, dealing with things, mentally. So, I think that just communicating with my patients, just being honest and being open helps to make it a lot easier. Because again, like I said, you're away from family, you're away from friends, and sometimes people that you might turn to. So, like I said, your patient and the patient relationship, the patient client relationship is very important, and it can help lend to helping when I have those, those stifled moments, when I can't with my self-care techniques and methods that I normally use to help myself through those times. Sometimes it's not working. Sometimes just talking with my patient about what's going on helps those things, and it helps a lot. And quite frankly, my current patient is a clinical psychologist, so psychiatrist rather. What I'm saying. So that makes it very easy for me on this particular job. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, yes. You see that next question? Yes.
Mm. Wow. Wow. There are so many there are so many different there are just so many different stories that people have. I've been very blessed again to 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 be in the situation where there aren't really any issues in family, within the family dynamic. I have only had one issue where the family was kind of estranged from the mother after the father had passed away. So yeah, there are issues. There'll be times when there won't be family. There will be no family presence. I've dealt with that, and that's very staggering and stifling. It's a shock sometimes. Yeah. So I mean, it's very, very difficult for the children, which is why the caregiver, when the caregiver's called, that's because the children are like, I can't do this. The white flag has been the white flag has been thrown up. If the family are taking care of if the family is taking care of their loved one, and depending upon the needs, again, the health needs of their loved one, if it's dementia, if it's schizophrenia, or if it's any type of thing where it just causes the family member to just act differently or a little bit more difficult, the family, I'm telling you, I've dealt with everything. I've even replaced caregivers that were like trying to tell me, oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and beware of this, beware of that. And I take those warnings, but when I come on, like I said, I just have a different approach. So a lot of times when other caregivers, I'm coming in and replacing another caregiver, or if I'm coming in because the family member's trying to tell me this, that, or that about their family member or whatever, I pretty just one ear and out the other. I tuck whatever I need to tuck in, and okay, that might be helpful for me to know. But for that, I want to be able to experience that person for myself. So I don't allow all those forewarnings to stunt me from developing a relationship with this person. I don't want to go in with those preconceived notions. You know what I mean? Because my job is here. I'm here. I'm coming in the presence of love. So all that stuff, it's noise. And I'm able to turn it into white noise. You know what I mean? Because my whole thing is taking the negative situation and turning it into a positive one. So my heart goes out to families that cannot afford caregiving, and they're at their wits end because it's putting such a strain on the relationship between the two. And like I said, so when they meet somebody like me, and I trust me, I come across thousands, I mean hundreds, at hospitals when I'm with my patients, and taking them, and people say, oh, you're a caregiver. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And they're always asking me all the questions. So it's sad when I hear that there are families that cannot afford those type of services because of the damage that it does to the relationship between, the family. It really, it gets really ugly. Yeah, it gets really ugly. And when it comes to the mental health, there is no relief for that person because they feel stuck in that role.
Mm.
So it's very difficult. So as I said before, so in knowing those things, for me, when I've had many of situations like that, it helps better prepare me for my job. So that way I don't end up like that. You know what I'm saying? So that way joy still remains in my heart. So that way I can pour out that joy. You know what I mean? So again, it's really all about this right here, how you approach the job and knowing when it's time to pour out and knowing when it's time to be poured back into. Because I'm pouring out a lot of myself, but I have to pour back into myself. So I have to make sure that I know how to take the little bit of time for myself, if I'm not able to do that, to have that for myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I can definitely understand because I've been caregiver for, parents and spouse and all of that. And it's emotionally draining. And the people in the family who are not doing it, sometimes they express appreciation and sometimes you feel unappreciated when they become critical. And it's like, yeah, but I'm here doing this. Where you at? So I can understand how it can get very intense among
Yeah.
family members, uh, and people who
Um,
are taking on that burden,
yes,
or,
ma'am.
or that responsibility, because you feel like it's a responsibility when it's your loved one, and and you could easily start to feel resentful of people who are not sharing that responsibility because you feel like they don't appreciate what you're enduring emotionally as you watch your loved one, their imminent transition. Sometimes, if they don't recover or get better, and then eventually, even when you recover, you're still going out of here at some point. So just having to go through the emotions of that. And sometimes if you're the lone family member that's handling that, and the others, they going on with their lives and going on their vacations, and not really having to think about it. And you're there with that loved one, that parent, that spouse, that whoever, grandparent, whoever, you're the person who's experiencing the emotions surrounding it, the emotions of the person who's ill. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're handling, and it depends on what kind of illness, like you say, dementia, things like that.
Yes.
And I helped
Yes.
a friend take care of an aunt that had dementia, and I was able to probably handle it more than she was because with my family member, so I could be more detached. But she would get very distressed when her aunt was kind of like talking out of her head and things like that, and she would lose patience. And I understand because you remember the person when they were in their right mind, and you're frustrated because you can't shake
Hmm.
them to remembering who they are and remembering reality.
Or how about you're not in your right mind?
Yeah, because
A
that's
lot of
what.
Yeah.
times these patients and who are
Yes.
in need of you have people who come in who are in more need of them than they are you. So, John, how do you have a best patient outcome that you could share with us in your time that has
Yeah. Uh, Again, my last patient from a year ago. I started with her in 2024. Just in just a few hours, she just wanted somebody to come in and help her do a few things and maybe give her a little companionship for a few hours a day. On my first day working with her, love you, Patricia. She she injured herself, got hospitalized.
Oh
Poor
my.
woman. And I had to work with her now as I started my first live-in with her, and it went from the injury where she fell and hurt herself, unfortunately. Then she ended up getting colon cancer. Uh, but we went through the colon cancer. She went through the first bout of chemotherapy, came out. She was fine. After her last chemotherapy treatment, the same day we get home, the woman breaks her hip. so she so she recovers from the chemo. I mean, from the cancer, from the other injury, and now she had to come back from the shattered right hip. So
Ooh.
yes, there have been positive outcomes, even despite how ugly that story may sound. She came. It was a full. She had a full recovery. So as I said before, I've been very fortunate the last few patients where I've walked away and saw people make recoveries. I did have a patient, unfortunately, that passed away last year. You know, but as I said before, uh, he got more years than he was expected, you know, because of the outpour of love that was given, you know, and again, he had and I was a part of the caregiving team, so it was more than just one person, you know. There might be times when I've been a part of a team of caregivers, you know, because they want to keep the rotation, they don't want to burn the caregiver out, so they keep a team of caregivers. I've worked with patients again in that team aspect with a patient that had that was oh gosh, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Cody. That you know that had other challenges though. You know what I mean? Like behavioral challenges, things like that. Mental health issues. Yeah, yeah. Where yeah. So I've been very fortunate to have dealt with a myriad of different things, of different cases. But when it comes to walking away and actually giving that last hug because that patient no longer needs service because they're healthy, that is the blessing. That's what makes me happy. That, as you can see, I'm lighting up because when I think about that, I think about my current patient and where her road of recovery and how much progress she's made. It makes me excited. It keeps me, you know, encouraging her, you know, because I can see it. I can see it. And even on days when she's down and not feeling that good, again, that's my job. I'm there to help get you back up, keep you back up on the horse, keep you going back up the mountain. You know what I mean? Keep us moving, keep us going forward. Not in a you know, like a military coach way, you know, but with love, you know, with love, knowing how to assert myself when needed, knowing when to speak when and say things when needed. Again, just learning how to just be able to read the room and just be observant enough to know when you need to assert yourself.
Well, it sounds like, John, you've become very proficient or professional as well as at what you do in home caregiving, and you've taken it to the next level. You and many others like yourself, you all need to have a convention and classes, symposiums, and share those thoughts, those ideas, those experiences, and those practices with others. Have you thought of that? Is there something like that that exists that you're aware of? And maybe we need to get that going up here at the Female Solution, talking to caregivers, and you can lead the way.
Hmm. Hmm. Well,
It's a thing that's going to happen in every family. At some point, somebody's going to need some kind of care
It's
because
happening as we speak.
it's happening as we speak.
Just our family members are leaving this planet. It's
mhm.
happening as we
Yes,
speak.
ma'am.
We're way over time. And Dr. Latif is the executive producer, and she's clear on the clock. And I appreciate everybody for sticking in here with us. You know, we had a loyal few who
I'm
stayed.
I'm I'm picking up a new skill as
Yeah.
I'm doing this interview. I'm trying to read lips because I have no volume. So,
Oh dear.
um,
Well, John,
That
one
might
thing.
so
come in
you guys
handy
are
one
helping
day.
add on. Who knows? My next
So
patient
John,
may have some
so
oratory
John, I'm gonna
issues
ask,
that might be preparing me for. So who knows? You know,
That's right. That's
so I'm
right.
gonna ask
I'm
you if you
always
can
looking at
come back next
opportunity.
week. If
That's
you,
right.
John, I'm gonna ask you if you can come back next week, or if not, what we can do is record a new session, put that up, and give people a fresh start to this great information that you've provided today, for them to get the visualization of John Islam, John Izzy as you go by, and to get more tips and valued advice on how to go about caregiving. Because really, when we think about the cost of caring for our sick family, and I'm not speaking of if you have Medicaid, Medicare, personal health insurance, but the cost, the emotional cost, the mental health cost
Mm,
of caring for our family, all the trips to the hospitals and clinic appointments and helping them to get on their feet to walk, and the stretching and the moving. And I mean, one of the things that your job shows really clearly is that there has to be a sustainable feature in a person who's doing that. And they have to be trustworthy and honest, because there's no monitoring how many hours you have to put into your own personal rest in someone else's home, because there's so many things that are needed. And I'm just going to ask this before I go. Do they have housekeepers, or do you have to do the housework yourself?
You might have to put it. You might have to write it in.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're
Well,
at 107. We're 7 minutes over time. I want to thank everybody who came and hung in there and gave us an opportunity to share this great beneficial conversation with you today. And just say, come on back. I'm going to put clips and shorts up and you'll be able to catch some of this conversation on a
And
platform.
keep those questions coming in, guys. There we go. There we go.
Somebody says, do the people have
If
housekeepers?
they have the money.
Oh, there you go.
I mean,
Oh,
really. I
wow.
mean,
So you have
here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. Here's the thing. With caregiving, you are going to be the housekeeper as well.
Well,
Let's
that
just be
answered
honest.
that question.
There are
If you had a bunch of
families
people to
that
do it.
have I've been in families where, they got that. They have that. But, like I said, for the most part though, you're gonna be the housekeeper.
Mm,
You're gonna be vacuuming,
wow.
you're gonna be dusting, you're gonna be, doing well if it's required. If it's required, if it's required.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to leave a person in filth. If you can help, then you want to help. But
Right.
it's good to know that though. If a person's going to be in this
Right.
profession, it might be a little more than taking care of the physical person. It might be taking care of the surroundings and all that, washing dishes and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be ready.
I'm using the dishwasher now. I'm
Oh,
I'm I'm, I'm saving my hands.
hey, that's smart.
Trust me. I do. When I say I do all the things, I do all the things. I leave no stone unturned. Seriously, I don't. I
That's
don't. I don't want to leave anything to chance, and that's why I'm fortunate to have the reputation that I have because of that. I take my job seriously. I I don't, like I said, I don't mess around, I don't play when it comes to this. I don't play. I stay ready. I don't have to get ready. I stay ready.
good.
So again, whatever's needed, like what Steve Rogers say, I could do this all day. Do I get bonuses?
wow.
Yes, you can get a bonus. Thank you, Dr. Lateef. Thank you so much. Yes, you do get bonuses depending upon again your client's financial, status. You know what I mean? Well, not status. Just what they can afford. They people are very appreciative of the service that we provide. So it's not more so a bonus, more so as it is just them just showing their appreciation. You know, because you're spending so much time with their loved ones, you're giving them the peace of mind that they need so that they can do what they need to do for their lives and and to continue to run their households and know that everything is okay with that loved one. So you know so if they do give extra, financial incentives, it's because of that.
Well, in that John cannot hear me, I'm going to just put it up so that he can see that I want to just say thank him so much for showing up here. We are over by 11 minutes. And while that is an unusual thing to happen, it's also something that has had necessity. And so I want to thank all of you for coming in today and being part of Coffee Break Live here with Senabella on the Female Solution. Thank Dr. Lateef. We're going to close out. And we just want to say thank you so much, John, for coming on. I want you to come back. Like I said, we're going to try and do a recording post the show. And when you're available, we'll do that. And we'll have you again live if you can as soon as possible and come back in. And prayerfully, we'll have like the best show ever right here at the Female Solution with Dr. Naima Lateef. Look at me. I can't even. I pivoted all over the place today. So wake up feeling beautiful. Have a great day. I will talk to you all soon. It's me, Senabella, right here for you. And thanks again. And let me see if I can get us out of here a little bit smoother than the way we came in.
Have you seen all the solar farms popping up everywhere? The big fields with the solar panels. There's one in our community. They produce electricity using the clean energy of the sun to send to the power grid to reduce our energy costs. Because not everybody can get solar panels put on their roof the way I have, but everybody can enroll for free to share the energy produced by the solar farms. That's where they were built. You're supposed to be getting a 10 to 20% savings on your bill for that, right? Illinois has a goal to transition by 2050 to 100% clean energy. So everybody needs to be connected. People in other communities are already getting their savings. So I'll be by to see you because they want to make sure you get your savings as well. It just takes a few minutes. I'm Naima Latif. Call me if you have any questions. 312-849-3456. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.